Mic check, mic check, mic check.
What's going on, YouTube? This is Sleeky Ratings. I'm coming at you today with Scream franchise. This has been a long time in the making. I've been wanting to make this for a while. I just did a filter over on TikTok for it, and it kind of got me in the mood to do it. So let's get right into it. I'm going to go into each of them and really just give my pros and cons for each film. I'm going to keep it very short and simple. Start with Scream 6. The pro is it's very brutal. Very cavalier with the violence, if you will. Like the gas station scene, I actually like that a lot. That was pretty crazy to see as Ghostface going in there just blasting people left and right. That was pretty cool. Con, too many cooks in the kitchen. Fake ghost faces, like in the beginning, right? They had these two guys impersonating as Ghostface, but they weren't the true Ghostface. And then there's like three actual Ghostface people that all work together. And I'll go into the character names later on in the video. But like, I just thought that was overkill. Too many cooks in the kitchen, like I said. Like, keep it simple. And that's why I'm not a huge fan of Scream 6. Like, I gave it a 5 out of 10. Locking it in there. Sleeky 5 out of 10. Yeah, it had some brutal scenes, but it was just too much, man. Like they're trying to do too much that what they had when it originally started. Not that great of a film. So Scream 5, I'm going to put right below that. The pro is they had good Ghostface character moments. I did like Richie as a Ghostface. He did very something similar to the Scream 1, as in he was the boyfriend, but he was very like psychopathic. He legit is like laughing at some of the stuff. He just played a really, really good Ghostface. And the other one, she didn't do too bad, and I'll get into that. I'll get into her character when I go over each of them a little bit later in this video. But overall, it was a little bit better. It was kind of cliche just because it's already been played, as in the boyfriend's the Ghostface. But they did do a couple different twists in it. Like when they were walking up to the house, you know, Sydney and Gail were like, this is like a trap. No, don't do it. This is a trap. Because she's out there, the Ghostface. She's like, oh my God, help me. And then she's like, screw it, pulls out a pistol and starts shooting. That's different on Ghostface. I've really never seen. I mean, we've seen stuff like that, but it's a little different. But overall, the plot of the film was kind of mid, in my opinion. You know, Stewie dies in it, supposedly dies in it. That was kind of sad to see. So that was kind of a pro for it. But overall, I'm giving it a 6 out of 10 on the plot. It's not that great. So next I have on the list is actually Scream 2. Scream 2, a great film off of Scream 1. It takes place while they're in college. It was a different experience because we just saw the first Ghostface, Scream 1, and we're like, oh, it's going to be her boyfriend. It's going to be Sydney's boyfriend. No, it wasn't. He was actually an honest guy. And at first, she thought he was the killer, but he wasn't at all. And even Mickey, being one of Ghostface's, like, yeah, you should trust your boyfriend, Sid. He wasn't the Ghostface. He was actually trying to protect you. That was kind of cool. So, because even I was just like, oh, he has to be a Ghostface. Like, he's doing too many sus things to not be the Ghostface. But he wasn't, actually. So, that was pretty cool. Now, pro or con, the way you see this, I kind of made it a con. But Miss Loomis, Billy Loomis's mom, being the other one, you know, we've seen this before. Like, the first Friday the 13th wasn't actually Jason Voorhees. It was his mom. But that was different. She was the killer, then he was the killer. In Scream, she's the killer because Billy Loomis died. Girl, your son died because he was a killer, and Sydney was essentially using self-defense. Like, doesn't give you the right to go around doing the Ghostface stuff as well. She's like, oh, I met Mickey on the dark web. We started doing this thing. And you cannot sit here and tell me that she was able to truly be Ghostface because she's kind of older in this film. Like, to do the movements that Scream does, like the running and all that stuff. Mickey definitely had to do the heavy lifting in this. But overall, I kind of put that as a con. I said that was kind of iffy. Mickey was great. Like, he added a comedy sense to it like some of the other Ghostfaces have done. But he's also just a psychopath. Like, he was not psychopathic like Richie, but he was a psychotic. Like, dude, man doesn't even know what he's doing. He was tweaking out. But I gave that one a 7 out of 10. And like I said, I'm kind of ranking these down as well. Scream 6 is the worst. Scream 5 is the second worst. Scream 2, third worst. And let me get into Scream 4. That's where I put next. Pro, Sydney's niece was Ghostface with Charlie, so there's two Ghostface there. That was honestly a different take. I did not expect Sydney's niece to be the Ghostface because she killed her own mom. Or Charlie did, but from what we learned in the dialogue, that she's the one who did it. And then at the end, she does this whole crazy thing in the hospital. I thought that was a different take. A little different of a plot twist there. So I kind of like that. I put that in that spot because of Sydney's niece. Like, that was a pretty decent plot twist. I'll give credit on that. However, oh no, the con to it is that I love how she's like, it's not about you,
never
Sydney.
been
Well, it
about
is.
killing you.
It's always wrapping around Sydney, okay? Halloween is always wrapping around Jamie Lee Curtis. But, I mean, hey, if you like doing that, that's on you. You know what I mean? Good for you. But I'm just saying, though, like, they put the cameras up. People like seeing that kind of stuff. So that was kind of a different take. They were doing it to get famous. They weren't doing it for, like, the other reasons. Like how Scream 1, they did it because of Sydney's mom. They weren't doing it Scream 2 because Sydney killed Billy Loomis. But yeah, I kind of put partly as a pro and partly as a con, but I'm going to give Scream 4 an 8 out of 10. It was pretty decent, like I said. There was a con with that, or like how Kirby went to go save Charlie and he was tied down the chair, and then she's like, "This is how you make a move," and he stabs her. That was kind of, I'll tip my hat to that. That was kind of cool. Yeah, that's where I'm going to lock it in at. I gave it an 8 out of 10. Top 2, Scream 3. And that's what I was kind of going my rant about on TikTok. Scream 3, I actually liked a lot. Some people go back and forth whether or not Scream 2 or Scream 3 is better. I give Scream 3 tenfold. And here's why. One, Ghostface, Roman. He is able to do all this stuff that, for God's sakes, Scream 6 had to have 3 bad guys in it. Scream 3 was able to do it with 1. Roman is that smart and that intelligent that he was able to do all this manipulation, all these trickeries, and he's acting as a director for making the Scream movie within the movie, right? So they're doing a movie within a movie, and it's about Scream. Acts as the director for Stab. Stab is the movie about Scream within Scream, so it's a movie within a movie, right? They're breaking that barrier. And they do that throughout all the movies, but Scream 3 does it different just because of the fact that, like I said, it's one Ghostface, he's doing it, and he's trying to do directing, and somehow he's trying to act as a victim, because, like, he partially gets targeted because of all this. Like, he does a phenomenal job. We think he dies near the end, but he really doesn't, and he is the Ghostface the whole time. He wears body armor, which is a different twist than most of them you see, and we learned that from Randy, because Randy dies in the second Scream, which was sad. Rest in peace. But since Randy dies in the second one, Scream 3, he makes a video, they watch it about how this Scream is going to be unkillable, this Ghostface, if you will, is going to be unkillable, that kind of stuff, and he wears body armor. So, like, when the detective shoots Roman, not knowing it's Roman, he just doesn't die, he keeps going until they shoot him in the head, whatever. But point is, fantastic role. The con, I gave it to it, the plot is solid, but it's also iffy. Because at the end, Roman's like, "I'm your brother, Sydney." Oh my. Really, bro? You're her brother? After all this time, we're finally learning that she has a brother? Like, don't be throwing that kind of stuff out there that, I don't know if it was for plot coverage, I don't know what it was, but like, they threw that out there like, "Oh, I'm your brother." But they redeemed it by him showing the video footage of, Sydney's mom, all that stuff that comes out in Scream 1. But he was able to basically rewind and show he was in control this whole time. He's the one who got Billy, like, enraged about it. He's the one who gave Billy the idea to kill her mom and do all this kind of stuff. It was solid. That was a solid idea. Because, again, if they would have left that out like, "Oh, Sydney, I'm your brother." Okay, really, fam? But he followed up with that by saying, "Who do you think is the one who did all this? How do you think these 2 high school students planned all these murders and planned all this stuff? I'm the one who planned it all." Which is kind of smart, because you would think after when you watch Scream 1, like, there's no way these people could be that smart to do all this kind of stuff. I really tipped my hat off to that. I gave that a solid 9 out of 10. They wrapped it up really nicely. I was worried right there for a second, but they wrapped it up really nicely. They came back in the second half. Solid film, 9 out of 10 without doubt. Which leads me to the top spot, Scream 1. I know it seems like I always put the first film first, but I can assure you that's not always the case for all these movies. But it just happens to be, so far, it has been the case, right? Scream 1 definitely gets the first spot. It's the OG. They keep it simple. All these famous lines we see in these movies, or these callbacks to Scream, is because of Scream 1. For example, like, where's my phone? "What's your favorite scary movie?" That kind of stuff.
What's your favorite scary movie?
All that is because of Scream 1. Right? The voiceovers, people like having the little voiceovers with the phone calls, that started because of that. Like I said, I cannot explain enough that they just kept it simple. 2 bad guys, partners in crime, Stu and Billy, doing this whole thing the whole time. Stu was the funny guy.
Watch a few movies, take a few notes. It was fun.
Billy was the more serious guy, and they had a great balance. And the ending, one of the ending scenes, right, when Sydney's trapped in the kitchen with them 2 without being Ghostface, they're finally revealed.
It's called Guess How I'm Gonna Die!
All the kind of cool stuff they have in there, and the whole wraparound about how they're going to get Sydney's mom to be the person who does it all, and the cops thinking at first it was Sydney's, did I just say Sydney's mom? I meant Sydney's father, all just to wrap around, making him the bad guy, the main suspect, and the cops were thinking that he was the main suspect, and they were going to get away, and that's what started the whole thing. They're going to stab each other, do all this kind of stuff. It was very, very thought out, but it was such a simple concept. I can't really think of any cons for this Scream 1. If you guys could think of one, please drop it down in the comments down below. I'd love to hear it. But overall, I gave Scream 1 a 10 out of 10 without a doubt. It's a solid film, solid film. I can't say solid enough. Solid, solid, solid. Overall, as far as a series goes, I gave Scream a 9 out of 10. I actually love this franchise. Scream is probably, I want to say horror thriller. I think it's more thriller, but it's also classified as a horror film, which it doesn't have any jump scares. But then again, other movies are classified as horror. So let's say it's a combo. Thriller, and horror. I would argue, in my opinion, this is probably one of the best. This is my favorite, and it's probably one of the best franchises out there. I'm going to make a whole other movie dedicated to horror thriller film franchises and rank them like just as a whole franchise in general. I'm definitely putting them up there just because if you were to do this in real, God forbid this were to be a real life thing, Scream would be the most realistic one we would see because they act like humans, right? Whenever you see these horror films like Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, they're all like cool, but they're not realistic. Like a dude coming out of the lake is just invincible. That's not realistic. Halloween, he looks like a normal dude, but really he's a spirit because this dude's just taking bullets, taking gunshots, taking bombs, stabbings, whatever, and he just comes back. In which I think that's where they kind of lead that he's not really a person. He's like more of like an evil entity, whatever. But Scream is like a legitimate person. Like we see in Scream 1, we see in Scream 3, we see in all the other ones that they're running, they're chasing their victim and they trip off of something and they fall. If I was wearing that full on freaking suit and I'm starting to chase someone, I might trip off my own cloak and like fall on the ground. Like that happens. And they fight like real people. You gotta think, Billy and Stu are just high school kids in the Scream 1. Do you honestly think these people are gonna be martial arts experts? No. So like when they go to stab and they fall, they miss because of the momentum. All that stuff's realistic. So that's why I love it. It's like my favorite because if it were to be a real thing, like I said, God forbid, but if it were to be a real thing, that is something I would expect. That's going to be a wrap for that. 9 out of 10 overall as a franchise, and it's probably my favorite thriller slash horror film franchise. But breaking down the characters, you know, Scream 6, you have Detective Bailey, Ethan, and Quinn. Scream 5, you have Amber and Richard. Scream 2, you have Mrs. Loomis and Mickey. Mrs. Loomis is Billy's mom. Scream 4, you got Jill and Charlie. Jill is Sydney's niece. Scream 3, you got Roman. Scream 1, you got Billy and Stu. One thing I want to talk about Scream 7 that's coming out, which I'm very excited to go see. There's an uproar right now in the community because Melissa and Jenna Ortega, Melissa Barrera, if I say that right, and Jenna Ortega are not coming back. Melissa got fired. Jenna in stance is like, no, I'm not coming back. I'm not going to do Scream if you fired her because of the controversy that she posted. I'm not getting into that. My point is, you know, there's an uproar like, oh, they need to be in it. Guys, they do not make the Scream series, and it drives me nuts that people think they do. Like, I'm sorry, it's Neve Campbell and Courtney Cox and the people who play Randy, the person who plays Dewey. They make the series. They have been in it since day uno. I'm sorry. I'm glad everyone likes Jenna Ortega and Melissa. She got fired, but Melissa being part of it, like, I'm glad they do okay in the film, and I'm as like actresses, and I'm glad people like them. But they act like they made Scream. They did not make Scream. Okay, people who play Billy Loomis, Stu, they made Scream. So it drives me nuts when people are like, I'm not gonna go see it now because Jenna's not gonna be in it. Bro, that makes her like overrated. Like, I'm not saying Jenna is overrated, but like just because like she's a big actress right now because of Wednesday and all that other stuff, and just because she left this, they're like, I'm gonna take a stand with Jenna. Why? They do not make Scream at all. And you could comment down below if you disagree with me and we could like talk about it, but like there's just no way they make the film. Like even Scream 6 and 5, the ones they were in were mid as heck. Like they weren't even that great. And I'm not saying it's because of their fault. It's just maybe bad writing, whatever. But my point is that they do not make the Scream franchise. They don't. I'm sorry, Courtney Cox and Neve Campbell do. If they left, I get it. I get the uproar. Because they are like the legitimate OG people. That's like if I made a film and I'm making more films and I'm in it, and then some new person comes in and tries to take over and they're like, my film now, sorry. Like, no, bro. Like, yeah, you're big, and so we're glad to have you in the film. But it doesn't give you the right to be like, you know what? Scream's not going to exist because I'm not here. And like, people are like buying that. Like, no. Another example I'll give, I love The Rock, but when he, like, the whole thing with Fast and Furious, he didn't make the franchise. Granted, Fast 5 when he came in was an excellent film, and yes, he's a huge actor, but he didn't make the Fast and Furious franchise. You know what I mean? Like, he can have a say, sure, but like, If he were to leave, I wouldn't expect the Fast and Furious franchises to like bend over or whatever because he didn't make it. Same thing with this. Jenna Ortega and Melissa did not make the Scream franchises. So for people to be like, oh, it's going to be terrible without them. No, that's not true at all. Yes, they're great actresses. I just do not think they make the series. And if you think they do, that's crazy because literally they weren't in the first 4. So for them to be in these 2 and you're like, because of the big things they were in, they act like they whatever they go into, it's theirs now. No. Sorry, sweetheart. It's Neve and Courtney. It's their film. Like I said, if they were gone, sure, okay, I can see it's going to take a really bad dip. And maybe Scream 7 might because their fan base might not want to go see it. But that doesn't. But they're like, when people say in the comments, like I read them, like people post all the Scream stuff. Oh, this franchise is ruined. No, it's not. No, it's not at all. And if Stu comes back, like the rumors say, that might even be crazy. I don't know how it'll come back, but that's up for us to see. But they do not make the series. I'm sorry, that was a long rant. I'm done with the rant. I just had to get my opinion out there because it drives me nuts when I see that kind of stuff. But anyway, guys, comment down below whether or not you agree or disagree with any of this stuff. And make sure to hit that subscribe and bell to be notified about future videos. I would greatly appreciate it, and it'll show supporting the channel. I'm out, guys. I'll see you guys later.